What's going on, guys? Killer6 back with a first look at the new DLC legendary item, the Lucky 7. In this video, I'll cover its drop location and break down how the weapon works and what prefix and anointments you should be looking for. Mine has the dastardly prefix, but this gun can have a wide variety of prefixes depending on the parts that it spawns with, and that can increase damage, accuracy, and lots of other stats. The Lucky 7 is a legendary pistol manufactured by Jacobs, and the red text reads, O Fortuna, which is Latin for "O Fate." It's also the name of a very famous song that I'm sure everybody has heard, as it's been used hundreds of times from movies to TV to sporting events. The song is everywhere. The Lucky 7 has one of the coolest gimmicks in the game. Upon reloading, you have a random chance at multiple bonus perks on the gun. There's 5 different options. There's auto crits, which makes body shots do crit damage and still gives those shots ricochet projectiles as well. There's full auto, that one's pretty self-explanatory. Amp shot, this one makes every single shot into a B shield level damage shot. Amp damage in Borderlands means that you sacrifice shield for extra damage, but with this perk on this gun, you lose no shield and you just get all that sweet extra damage. Next up is explosive rounds, Torg approves. And finally, if you roll a 7 at the end of this, then your gun will fire out 7 projectiles in the shape of a number 7. This is especially cool when it rolls with the amp damage roll, as it will obliterate everything in sight. It's presumably possible to roll all 5 of these bonuses at the same time, but I've tried for like 30 minutes with no luck. The best I've got was 4 of them at the same time. Honestly, you probably don't want to roll full auto unless you're fighting a large enemy, as the recoil on that perk is tough to control and it eats your ammo up quick. Auto crit, Lucky 7, and amp damage are the most ideal rolls in my opinion, or really any combination of those 3. Explosive rounds doesn't really do that much extra damage, and like I said, full auto is kind of not the best. This gun makes a solid case as a replacement for the Maggie, if for no other reason than the fun factor, but there will be some out there that don't enjoy the gimmick, and that's fully understandable. Sometimes this gun will roll 5 garbage cans, and that just means that your gun does its base damage, which is still good, but nowhere near Maggie levels of damage. However, roll that god tier triple combo and the Maggie will be crying in your backpack. Ideal prefix in my opinion is dastardly, as that gives the highest DPS. As for anointments, this is largely dependent on your playstyle, build, and vault hunter of choice. The action skill and anointments are widely regarded as some of the best in the game. The ones that give 50% additional bonus elemental damage on action skill end are probably the best to choose from here, but on Amara, 300% damage after face slam anoint is hard to argue with as well. On Flak, I find myself often leaning toward anoints that will help me with survivability, so possibly the on action skill end gain 15% lifesteal for a short time, and there's also the on action skill end gain 100% weapon damage for a short time. So lots of good options. Even if you get one that isn't anointed, the way this gun works makes it a lot of fun to use anyhow. So to farm this gun, you're going to need to go to the compactor on the Handsome Jackpot map. Here's the final destination on the mini-map. Bring a corrosive weapon and maybe even bring a brainstormer, since there are so many individual scrap traps running around. A brainstormer will do damage to all of them at the same time, making this fight much easier. Scrap trap himself isn't a tough fight. I mostly just strafe or backpedal in a circle around the area, doing as much damage as I can while I move. The Lucky 7 is a dedicated drop in Scrap Trap's loot pool, which means it has a higher chance to drop from him than any other enemy in this DLC. It also means that you can farm it whether you're on normal mode, True Vault Hunter mode, or any Mayhem mode. Obviously, the higher your Mayhem level, the better your odds for getting an anointed version, but the Lucky 7 can also world drop in this DLC, so if you prefer to get it randomly, you still have that option. And as a matter of fact, that was how I got my very first one in this DLC, was just from a random badass enemy. I do not know what the drop rates are for the items in this DLC, but I got my Lucky 7 on the very first run, but with no anointment. So back to the ground I went until I got an anointed one on run number 8. Now for some downsides. First, like most Jacobs pistols, this one can roll with just the plain iron sights, and I hate that. For me, aiming with those iron sights on this gun is so utterly unpleasant that I'd rather just use a bad prefix or a roll, as long as that has like a true sight on it. Next bad thing, and this might be something that the devs need to look at, if you're sprinting while you reload, you will not be able to see the roll that you get with this gun. Now, if you're like me, then 90% of the time you probably won't even glance at what roll this thing gives, and you're just going to shoot people and see what happens. But if you're in a boss fight and you're wanting maximum damage, not being able to see the roll could be costly. So I hope this guide to the Lucky 7 was helpful to you. If it was, then please take a second, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and tap the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when I post a new video. You can click on one of the cards at the end of this video to see more legendary item guides as well. Thank you guys for watching. Take care.